Hi, and welcome to the first TARDIS Eruditorum video blog. Today we're looking at Tomb of the Cybermen. What we're going to do here is look at Patrick Troughton's acting, because Matt Smith cited it as a major influence in how he played the 11th Doctor. The first clip we're going to look at is from Tomb of the Cybermen Episode 1. It's a technobabble heavy exposition sequence. To start, look at how Troughton imposes himself into this exposition sequence. The Doctor's been in the room the whole time, but Troughton puts him off to the side in a specific place that's going to lend itself to Troughton taking control of proceedings and being very doctorish.
But when this Fourier series is complete, then there is no more to be done.
Yes, but why do it at all?
Really, Doctor, for an archaeologist, you seem to be curiously lacking in curiosity.
Some things are better left undone, and I have a feeling that this is one of them.
This is not a story where the Doctor is blessed with terribly clear motivations or a sense of what he's doing. But watch how Troughton, by putting himself on the elevated platform, asserts power over the scene. He positions himself there in anticipation of giving Klieg this lecture.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, Klieg, is that Troughton's line readings are generally selected to be just a little counterintuitive, just a little different from what you'd expect. And what that does is it gives him a strange sense of control over every single scene he's in. Watch this next bit, for instance.
Well, it's all too easy, isn't it?
Easy? I wouldn't call
With
this
that
an
one
easy
line,
survey,
he's
would
tricked
you,
Klieg into doing exactly what he wants and set himself up for this big exposition bit.
I wouldn't say that.
But take this mathematical sequence, for example. I'm really no nearer to its solution. I've tried every possible combination. You'd hardly call that easy.
Now watch what Troughton does with this fairly lengthy and frankly really boring chunk of technobabble. What he does is he gives it this wonderfully condescending tone that's designed to further his manipulation of Klieg so that Klieg does exactly what he wants and starts activating the Cybermen so he can start figuring out what's going on here.
Yes, well, what you've done here is mostly right.
Well, thank you.
You see, if you take any progressive series, it can be converted into binary notation. If you take the sum of the integrants and express the result as a power series, then the indices show the basic binary blocks. Only I wouldn't do it if I were you. Oh, no, I really wouldn't do it.
Now watch Troughton's patient, very calm demeanor as he tries to see if he's got Klieg where he wants it. Look how he put that little pen back in his pocket, very calmly, very cautiously, tentatively, waiting and watching to see what Klieg does. It's an absolutely brilliant bit of manipulation that Troughton added to the scene. And now that he's got Klieg to do what he wants, he goes into his next bit of performance. Very deliberately, very consciously.
Why couldn't you leave it alone? What's happening? I don't know. Perhaps the Cybermen aren't quite as dormant as you imagine. We must find out what's happened to the others.
This next clip's from episode 3. It's one of the only emotional scenes in the whole story, honestly. Now, watch how Troughton starts off in this scene. Look at how he has even an idiosyncratic body plan. Look how he wrapped one of his arms around the random coil to sleep. And then watch how he slowly comes to, gets his awareness of the scene, knows what's going on, and then finally does something that Victoria will notice right here. Now, because the entire focus of the scene is Victoria and her emotional journey, Troughton has a supporting role to play here. So watch how, even though he's still picking non-intuitive line readings, he's not stealing the scene at all. He's intensely charismatic, he's providing a tremendous amount of support for the scene, but he never comes close to stealing it.
I'm on your side, remember? Hey, why didn't you wake me? I should have been on watch half an hour ago.
Instead of stealing the scene, what he does is pick this very tender, concerned tone of voice that we've never really heard from Troughton's Doctor before.
I thought you should rest.
Why me?
No reason, really.
Oh, I think I know. Is it because
Well, if you are 450 years old, you need a great deal of sleep.
Here we can see what the real point of the scene is. They have Deborah Watling, beautiful a former child actress, very charismatic, and they want to show her off. The whole point of the scene is these close-ups on Victoria with her big eyes. And all Troughton is doing is finding ways to elicit those close-ups from her.
Well, that's very considerate of you, Victoria, but between you and me, I'm really quite lively, actually.
But watch how in this pause, he's just as manipulative of Victoria as he was of Klieg.
Are you happy with us, Victoria?
Yes, I am. At least, I would be if my father were here.
Yes, I know.
I wonder what he would have thought if he could see me now.
You miss him very much, don't you?
And here, this is what Troughton as an actor has been trying to get. He's been setting up Watling so she can do this beautiful, wide-eyed Starlight's turn. You don't even need to hear what she's doing. You just look at this and see. This is the emotional heart of the scene, and Troughton served it up to her on a platter.
You won't. But, you know, the memory of him won't always be a sad one.
I think it will. You can't understand being so ancient.
Eh?
I mean old.
Oh.
You probably can't remember your family.
Oh, yes, I can when I want to. And that's the point, really. I have to really want to bring them back in front of my eyes. The rest of the time, they sleep in my mind.
And there it is. Troughton's part of this scene is actually just as emotional as Watling's. But he chooses to undersell it and let Watling have the sort of main starlet turn of the scene. He keeps himself quiet and just gives the scene to her. It's an incredibly unselfish, yet still charismatic performance. And that's the heart of what Troughton does.
And I forget, and so will you. Oh, yes, you will. You'll find there's so much else to think about, to remember. Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
Okay, so now that we've seen Troughton do these scenes, let's look at two similar scenes from the Doctor's wife, Madison. The first one's just going to be another technobabble exposition scene. Off the bat, look how generous Smith still is with this scene. Look how, on his first line delivery, he mostly is just setting up a joke for Amy.
What kind of trouble's your friend in?
He was in a bind, a bit of a pickle, sort of distressed.
Oh, you can't just say you don't know.
What is this place? The scrapyard at the end of the universe?
Not end of, outside of.
The other thing you're going to see here is how Smith, just like Troughton, gives the Doctor a sense of deliberateness to seemingly random actions. Here he pauses, realizes he's going to have to explain something to Rory, then goes into a whole very performative set of gestures with Rory.
How can we be outside the universe? The universe is everything.
Imagine a great big soap bubble with one of those tiny little bubbles on the outside.
Okay.
But it's nothing like that. Completely drained. Look at her.
Wait, so we're in a tiny bubble universe sticking to the side of the bigger bubble universe?
Yeah. No, but if it helps, yes. This place
And
is
again,
full of
look at the
rift
little
energy.
pause
She'll
before he
probably refuel just
tests
by
the
being.
gravity. Look at how that
Now,
makes
this
it clear
place, what do we
that
think,
all of
Gravity's
this
almost
seeming
abnormal.
randomness is
It's
completely deliberate.
breathable, but it
Smith gets that
smells
straight from
right.
Troughton.
Armpits.
Armpits.
What about all this stuff? Where did this come from?
Oh, there's a rift now and then stuff gets sucked through it. Not a bubble, a plug hole. The universe has a plug hole and we've just fallen down.
One last clip from the end of this. Another emotional scene. And again, this entire scene is supposed to be Saran Jones. This is her big emotional moment.
Are you there?
Smith is the supporting
So
actor.
very dark.
Watch how he handles it.
I'm here.
Even though this is an emotional scene for Smith, look how he holds back the emotion until the end to give Saran Jones as much uninterrupted screen time as possible.
I found it now.
What word?
Alive. I'm alive.
Alive isn't sad.
It's sad.
The entire heart of the scene is going to be Smith's reaction to Saran Jones saying, "Hello, Doctor."
But this is
And so
mental.
Smith holds back
Now
on
even that
all
is
of the
gone.
obvious sentimental line readings until she says that.
There's something I didn't get to say to you.
Goodbye.
No. I just wanted to say hello. Hello, Doctor.
And it's only now that Saran Jones has gotten
It's
her
so
big
very,
line that
very
Smith
nice
starts
to
to
meet
sell
you.
his own emotion. Prior to that, he gave the scene entirely to her.
Please. I don't want you to.
Now watch what Smith does with his gestures. The entire calm, deliberate act he had in the beginning of the scene is broken down here, but he leaves the gestures of his performance in place. He uses the idea of the counterintuitive line reading he got from Troughton, and right here keeps his hand gestures, keeps all his performance intact, even as he's broken, and then he puts it back together again, and seamlessly goes into this console performance. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's straight out of what Troughton invented with the character. So that's what we've got for today. Thanks very much for listening. You can see more of my commentary at my blog, TARDIS Eruditorum, and I hope to see you another time. Thanks very much.